Hi everyone, this is Jay. Today I'm going to share 5 tips to study Korean language. Actually, I learned these tips from in Australia when I was studying English. Hopefully, these tips would be helpful for all of you to study Korean language. First tip is don't depend too much on romanization. This should be the most basic and important tip to study Korean more efficiently and effectively. I've seen many friends here in Philippines when they are speaking and when they are studying Korean language, they are using romanized version of textbook or lyric of songs and drama subtitle as well. At the first time when you speak and when you study Korean language, romanized version would be easy way and helpful to study. But after a couple of months later, when you study more and you realize that that would be harmful to study Korean language, and you couldn't expect yourself that you become intermediate level or advanced level neither. So for example, when you say Hyundai, one of the car company in Korea, it's written in English Hyundai. We pronounce Hyundai, Hyundai. But Western people and foreigners pronounce Hyundai or Hyundai. See, as you can see, English and Korean has totally different pronunciation. So you couldn't study its own pronunciation of Korean alphabet. So remember, before you're studying Korean language, you have to fully understand the pronunciation of Hangul, which is Korean alphabet. Okay, this is the next second tip to study Korean language. Study vocabulary in a context, because each single vocabulary has surface meaning and inherent meaning. So sometimes if you just study vocabulary separate from context, and then when you put together those vocabulary in one context, it's going to be improper or it'll be awkward. For example, in English, gorgeous is kind of beautiful, right? Yeah, the surface meaning is beautiful, but inherent meaning is sexually attractive things. So if you use gorgeous with a noun, a guy would be very, very awkward. And if you use gorgeous woman to whom a woman you met first time, it might be rude, right? So when you study vocabulary, you should study in a context, and then you should try to understand the whole context, what is going to explain, what is going to talk about, not just study and memorize Korean and Tagalog or Korean to English. You have to try to understand the meaning of context, and you have to try to understand the vocabulary in a context or in a expression, so that you could fully understand and you can use that vocabulary in proper situation. Tip number 3, how to study Korean language. Speak loudly. You have to speak loudly when you study Korean language. You have to use whole sense of your body, eyes and ear and mouth. To use whole sense of your body, you have to speak loudly. When you read, don't just read the sentence with your eyes. You have to speak loudly so that you can hear, you can listen to your pronunciation, and when you listen to the pronunciation, you can also memorize the vocabulary in your head as well. Gesture would be sometimes very helpful to study language. For example, if you are bored at just studying, looking at the textbook, I recommend you to roam around the house and then try to use your hand and then look at something and then just try to express sentences with your body language. And then especially specific situation, when you use gesture, that will be more easy and more helpful, more useful to understand than memorized language. Hey, this is tip number 4 to study Korean language. Use various materials. Don't use only one textbook when you study Korean. Song, drama, movie, articles, textbook, use materials as much as you can. If you use the various materials, you will realize that you'll find out yourself that, oh, I studied this vocabulary, I studied this expression before in the lyrics or in subtitles, something like that. But if you use only one material, textbook, if you don't review the previous chapter, you will never see the specific context, specific expression or specific vocabulary as well. And especially if you are bored starting with textbook, you will never open up the textbook anymore. So you are surrounded by various and free materials in the internet. You have to find interesting and more fun materials in the internet, and then you have to use, even though it's a short time or even though you are using the just one time, I recommend you to use various materials so that you could more interested in studying language. This is the last tip that I want to share with you. Don't ever never give up studying Korean language. As you know, all language is very difficult at the first time when you try to study, because you know English word Tagalog, they are using almost the same alphabet. So you are very familiar with studying English, but so I think you never say English is very hard, but Korean alphabet is totally different that you are using. So you might give up earlier than you expected because it's very stressful. Yeah, I know, I understand, but studying Korean language, you will not be improved like this. Your level will be improved like this way. So for the first specific period, you will not see the improvement in your level, but after specific period later, you will realize that your level is here. Yeah, suddenly you will see your level is here, and then a couple of months later, if you keep studying, your level will be here. So what I want you to say is, study Korean at least 30 minutes, but every day. Even though you study language one day 5 hours, 6 hours, or 10 hours, if you don't study tomorrow and 2 days later, it's just useless. It's just time consuming. If you really want to study language, you have to put at least the minimum time and effort every day. Every day, 30 minutes or 1 hour. And I will try to help you to study Korean more easily, and so I will try to give you more easy way so that you will not give up to study Korean. And as I informed you before, every Saturday and Sunday 5 p.m. you can visit Buddha House if you want to study in person. See you this weekend. I'm waiting you. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.